Kronos had watched countless civilizations rise and fall across the cosmic tapestry of existence. As one of the eternal observers, beings who had witnessed the birth of stars and the death of galaxies, little surprised them anymore. But something about Earth was different. Standing at the edge of the solar system, their consciousness extending through multiple dimensions, Kronos observed the blue planet with growing fascination. Humanity's timeline wasn't following any known pattern of species development. Where other civilizations took millennia to progress through technological ages, humans were blazing through them in centuries. Impossible, Kronos whispered into the void, their thoughts creating ripples across the fabric of space-time. They had watched humanity discover fire, create written language, harness electricity, split the atom, and reach for the stars, all in what amounted to less than a cosmic blink. The observer called forth the archive, a multidimensional repository of all known species development patterns. Holographic projections of countless civilizations' progress lines appeared before them, each following predictable curves of technological advancement. Then came humanity's line, a nearly vertical trajectory that seemed to defy the laws of development themselves. But it wasn't just the speed that concerned Kronos, it was the way humans approached problems. Where other species accepted the limitations of their reality, humans raged against them. When told something was impossible, they took it as a challenge rather than a law of nature. Kronos shifted their focus to a small laboratory on Earth, where scientists were attempting to create stable quantum computers. By all known laws of development, humanity shouldn't even understand quantum mechanics for another 1,000 years. Yet here they were, not just theorizing but building, testing, failing, and trying again with relentless determination. The observer's consciousness expanded further, taking in multiple timeline possibilities. In one, humans had achieved faster-than-light travel within a century. In another, they had begun manipulating the fundamental forces of reality itself. Each potential future showed humanity not just surviving but thriving, adapting and evolving at an unprecedented rate. A surge of energy nearby announced the arrival of HFY, another eternal observer. You've been watching this sector for 3 rotations now, Kronos. What has captured your attention so thoroughly? Kronos shared their observations through a direct consciousness link. HFY's form flickered with surprise as the data streamed between them. This cannot be right. No species evolves like this. It defies all known patterns. Yet they do, Kronos responded. And there's more. Look at their failures. Together, they observed instances of human setbacks throughout history. Where other species typically abandoned paths that led to failure, humans studied their failures, learned from them, and tried again with new approaches. It was as if the very concept of impossibility spurred them to greater efforts. They're like a cosmic anomaly, HFY mused. A species that treats universal constants as mere suggestions. They're dangerous, Kronos stated, their energy patterns showing clear concern. Not because they intend harm, but because they don't understand the consequences of their acceleration. They're children playing with forces that could unravel reality itself. HFY was silent for a moment, processing the implications. The Council must be informed. This goes beyond routine observation. Agreed. But consider this. By the time the Council convenes and reaches a decision, humanity may have already advanced beyond our predictions. Their rate of progress is not just fast, it's accelerating. The 2 observers watched as a young human child gazed up at the stars, asking questions about the nature of reality that even some eternal observers hadn't considered. In another location, researchers were developing theories about the structure of the universe that came dangerously close to understanding the true nature of the observers themselves. We need to call an emergency session, Kronos decided. All observers must be made aware. Humanity isn't just another emerging species. There's something we've never encountered before. As they prepared to leave, Kronos took one last look at Earth. A team of scientists had just made a breakthrough in understanding dark matter, taking humanity one step closer to unlocking the fundamental secrets of the universe. The observer felt something they hadn't experienced in eons. Fear. Not fear of humanity's malice or aggression, but fear of their potential. Fear of what they might become. Fear of a future where the observers might no longer be the most advanced beings in existence. The cosmic tapestry shimmered as Kronos and Atropos departed, leaving behind a world that was advancing faster than anyone had thought possible. The question wasn't whether humanity would reach the stars, but what they would do when they got there. And more importantly, what they would become in the process. The Emergency Council of Eternal Observers assembled in a realm beyond conventional spacetime, their collective consciousness forming a lattice of pure energy that spanned dimensions. Kronos stood at the center, projecting their observations of humanity to the gathered ancient beings. In the past solar rotation alone, they've made 3 separate breakthroughs that should have taken millennia. Kronos explained, their energy patterns pulsing with urgency. They're on the verge of discovering quantum entanglement communication, and their artificial intelligence systems are evolving at an exponential rate. Helios, an observer known for their cautious approach to emerging civilizations, shifted their consciousness forward. We've seen rapid advancement before. The Centaurians achieved spaceflight within 1,000 years of discovering fire. This is different, Atropos interjected, sharing their own observations. The Centaurians followed predictable patterns. Humans create new patterns. They don't just climb the ladder of technological progress. They rebuild the ladder itself. The council chamber resonated with uneasy energy as they witnessed a holographic projection of humanity's latest achievements. In laboratories across Earth, scientists were unraveling the mysteries of consciousness itself. In underground facilities, researchers were touching the edges of dimensional manipulation. In orbital stations, engineers were designing ships that could potentially breach the barriers between realities. Watch this, Kronos commanded, focusing the council's attention on a specific moment. A human researcher had encountered an apparently insurmountable problem in quantum physics. Instead of accepting the universal constant as absolute, as any rational species would, she questioned the constant itself. And in doing so, she had unknowingly brushed against one of the fundamental pillars of reality. They're not just advancing. Nova, another observer, realized. They're evolving their very way of thinking. Each generation builds upon the achievements of the last, but they do so exponentially, not linearly. The council chamber filled with overlapping thoughts and concerns. Some observers argued for immediate intervention, while others advocated for continued observation. But all could sense that a critical threshold was approaching, a point where humanity's advancement could no longer be safely ignored. There's more, Kronos added, their energy dimming slightly. We've detected anomalies in the fabric of reality itself. Their quantum experiments are creating ripples that extend beyond their dimension. They're affecting things they can't even perceive yet. The projection shifted to show a series of human experiments with particle accelerators. The humans thought they were simply studying subatomic particles, but they were unknowingly touching the threads that held reality together. Each experiment sent vibrations through the cosmic web, small now, but growing stronger. How long? Helios asked, their form flickering with concern. At their current rate of advancement, Kronos paused, calculating possibilities. Within 3 generations, they could discover the existence of the cosmic web. Within 5, they might learn to manipulate it. Within 7, they left the thought unfinished, but every observer could sense the implications. We've never interfered directly with an emerging species, Nova reminded the council. It's our most ancient law. We've never encountered a species like this, Atropos countered. Their potential for both creation and destruction exceeds anything in our records. If they continue on this path unchecked, they could unknowingly destabilize the very foundations of reality. The council chamber fell into deep contemplation. The observers had always been the guardians of cosmic order, maintaining the delicate balance between chaos and stability. But humanity's rapid advancement threatened to upset that balance in ways they couldn't predict. Perhaps, a new voice suggested, belonging to Iris, one of the eldest observers. We should test them. All consciousness turned toward Iris, who continued, not to stop their progress, but to understand it, to see how they handle direct challenges to their understanding of reality. Their responses might help us predict their future development. The suggestion sent ripples of consideration through the council. Testing was rare, but not unprecedented. It would allow them to gauge humanity's true potential while potentially guiding their development in safer directions. And if they surpass our tests, Cronus asked, voicing the concern that hung in the cosmic void, if they turn our challenges into stepping stones, as they've done with every other obstacle they've encountered. Iris's energy pulsed with what might have been amusement. Then we'll learn something even more important, whether we should fear them or welcome them as equals. The council chamber resonated with the weight of the decision before them. The next few moments would determine not just humanity's fate, but potentially the future of reality itself. As the observers prepared to vote on their course of action, they couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't just observing history. They were about to become part of it. The tests began subtly. The observers knew that direct intervention would contaminate the results, so they chose to manipulate reality in ways that would appear natural to human perception. Cronus, Atropos, and Nova were selected to oversee the trials. Their consciousness spread across Earth's sphere of influence. The first test targeted human understanding of quantum mechanics. The observers introduced subtle inconsistencies into the fabric of reality. Contradictions that should have taken centuries to notice, let alone understand. They expected confusion, perhaps even a temporary halt in quantum research. Instead, within months, a graduate student in Mumbai noticed the anomaly. Rather than dismiss it as experimental error, she documented it meticulously and shared her findings. Soon, laboratories worldwide were confirming her observations. But instead of being discouraged by this apparent breakdown in their understanding of quantum mechanics, humans became excited. Look at this, Cronus communicated to the other observers, focusing their attention on a conference where physicists from 30 countries had gathered virtually to discuss the anomaly. They're not trying to force it into their existing models. They're creating entirely new theoretical frameworks. They're adapting their understanding to match reality. Nova noted, instead of trying to make reality match their understanding. The second test was more direct. The observers introduced a small gravitational anomaly in Earth's orbit, a tiny space-time distortion that defied known physical laws. They expected years of careful observation before humans could even detect it. 3 weeks later, an amateur astronomer in Chile noticed something odd about stellar measurements. Within days, major observatories had turned their attention to the phenomenon. Within weeks, new theories about gravity and spacetime were being proposed. Humans hadn't just noticed the anomaly. They were already trying to harness it. Remarkable, Atropos communicated. They treat each mystery as an opportunity rather than a threat. The third test pushed boundaries further. The observers introduced subtle changes to the speed of light in a specific region of space. It was a fundamental constant of the universe, or so humans believed. The observers expected this to create a crisis in physics. Instead, humanity's response was unprecedented. Rather than deny the evidence or become paralyzed by the implications, research teams worldwide began collaborating on a grand scale. They shared data freely, established new protocols for measurement, and began developing technologies to study the phenomenon. They're not just theorizing, Nova observed with growing amazement. They're building tools to investigate something they don't even understand yet. But it was the fourth test that truly shook the observers. They created a quantum entanglement anomaly that connected 2 points in spacetime, a phenomenon that should have been impossible for humans to detect, let alone comprehend. Within months, a team of physicists had not only detected the anomaly, but had begun experiments to replicate it. They were unknowingly touching the edges of reality manipulation, capabilities that should have been millennia beyond their reach. This is beyond mere advancement, Cronus communicated urgently. They're not just climbing the ladder of technological progress, they're beginning to understand the nature of the ladder itself. The final test wasn't planned. During an observation, Nova's energy signature briefly became visible to human instruments. According to all known laws of development, humans should have dismissed it as an equipment malfunction. Instead, within hours, observatories worldwide were redirecting their instruments to study the phenomenon. Scientists weren't just accepting the possibility of unknown intelligent entities, they were actively looking for them. We need to reconvene the council, Atropos decided, their energy patterns showing clear concern. These tests haven't just measured their capabilities, they've accelerated their development. As the observers prepared to withdraw, they noticed something that gave them pause. Humans weren't just solving the challenges they'd been presented, they were using their solutions as foundations for new questions. Each answer they discovered led to deeper inquiries. Each breakthrough sparked further innovation. They're not just passing our tests, Cronus realized. They're transforming them into catalysts for their own evolution. The implications were staggering. The observers had intended to measure humanity's potential, but instead, they had become unwitting participants in humanity's acceleration toward a future none of them could predict. As they departed to summon the council, they left behind a species that was no longer just reaching for the stars. They were beginning to understand the very fabric of reality itself. And in doing so, they were unknowingly preparing to challenge the cosmic order that had existed since the dawn of time. The emergency council session materialized in a dimension beyond human comprehension, the gathered observers' energies creating patterns that would have driven mortal minds to madness. The results of the tests had sent shockwaves through the cosmic hierarchy. Humanity didn't just survive our trials, Cronus reported, their essence flickering with urgency. They transformed them into opportunities. Each challenge we presented became a stepping stone to greater understanding. The council chamber resonated with overlapping thoughts and concerns, but it wasn't just humanity's responses to the tests that worried them. It was the unexpected consequences rippling across the cosmos. We've detected anomalies in other developing worlds, Nova announced, projecting a map of nearby civilizations. Species that have observed Earth's transmissions are beginning to accelerate their own development. Humanity's influence extends beyond their physical reach. The projection showed dozens of worlds where civilizations had begun to deviate from their predicted development paths. Some had abandoned millennia-old traditions after detecting Earth's radio signals. Others had completely reorganized their societies after observing human satellite technology. They're acting as a catalyst, Atropos observed. Their very existence is challenging other species' assumptions about what's possible. The Council witnessed a civilization in the Andromeda galaxy that had maintained the same technological level for 50,000 years. After detecting signals from Earth's quantum experiments, they had achieved in decades what they hadn't in millennia. It's not just their technological advancement that's concerning, Helios added. It's their approach to existence itself. They refuse to accept limitations, and now they're teaching others to do the same. The projection shifted to show the quantum web that connected all reality. Tiny disturbances were visible throughout its structure, each originating from Earth. Human experiments with quantum entanglement were creating ripples that affected the very fabric of space-time. They're approaching a threshold, Iris warned, their ancient consciousness pulsing with concern. Soon they'll discover the quantum web itself. When that happens, they'll gain the ability to influence reality on a fundamental level. The council chamber grew silent as they contemplated the implications. Humanity wasn't just advancing, they were transforming the cosmic order itself. Their refusal to accept limitations was becoming a force of nature, inspiring change throughout the universe. Look at this, Nova directed, focusing the council's attention on a particular moment. A human child was asking questions about the nature of reality that challenged assumptions the observers had held for eons. The child's innocent inquiries were touching upon truths that the cosmos' eldest beings had long taken for granted. They don't know what's impossible, Cronus stated, so they achieve it anyway. The projection revealed more disturbing patterns. Other civilizations were beginning to communicate with each other, inspired by humanity's example. Species that had evolved in isolation for millions of years were suddenly reaching out, sharing knowledge, challenging ancient boundaries. The cosmic balance is shifting, Atropos declared. The carefully maintained hierarchy of development that we've preserved since the beginning of time is unraveling. But it was what they observed next that truly shook the Council. Humanity had begun developing theories about the nature of consciousness itself, theories that came dangerously close to understanding the true nature of the observers. They're not just advancing technologically, Iris realized. They're evolving conceptually. Their understanding of reality is expanding in ways we never anticipated. The council chamber erupted in overlapping thoughts and emotions. Some observers argued for immediate intervention to slow humanity's progress. Others suggested that any intervention would only serve as another challenge for humans to overcome. Perhaps, Nova suggested, their energy patterns forming complex patterns of possibility. We're asking the wrong question. Instead of how to control their development, maybe we should be asking what we can learn from them. The suggestion sent ripples of shock through the assembly. In all of cosmic history, the observers had been the teachers, the guardians, the ones who watched and guided from afar. The idea that they could learn from such a young species was revolutionary. Yet as they observed humanity's continuing advancement, the truth became undeniable. Humans weren't just changing themselves, they were changing the very nature of cosmic development. Their influence was creating a new paradigm, one where limitations were seen as challenges rather than absolutes. As the Council prepared to make their final decision, they realized that the universe itself was at a turning point. The age of passive observation was ending. A new era was beginning. One where humanity's potential would either reshape reality itself or tear it apart. In the timeless realm of the Council chamber, the observers faced a decision that would reshape the cosmic order forever. The evidence was undeniable. Humanity wasn't just advancing, they were transforming the very nature of evolution itself. We have maintained the balance for eons, Helios addressed the assembly, their energy form shimmering with ancient wisdom. We have watched civilizations rise and fall, guided the natural order, preserved the cosmic hierarchy. But now we face something unprecedented. Cronus completed the thought. A species that doesn't just grow, it catalyzes growth in others. A species that turns obstacles into opportunities, limitations into challenges. The council chamber filled with shifting patterns of light as a new projection appeared. It showed humanity's potential futures, branching out in countless directions. In one timeline, humans had achieved instantaneous universal travel. In another, they had begun exploring other dimensions. In yet another, they had learned to manipulate the quantum web itself. Look at this, Nova directed, focusing their attention on a particular branch. A group of human scientists had theorized the existence of beings that existed beyond conventional reality. A theory that came dangerously close to discovering the observers themselves. They're not just reaching for the stars, Atropos observed. They're reaching for understanding itself, and they're taking others with them. The projection shifted to show the ripple effects across the cosmos. Civilizations that had been stagnant for millennia were awakening, inspired by humanity's example. Species that had never questioned their limitations were beginning to ask, what if? We designed our tests to measure their capabilities, Iris reminded the council. Instead, we gave them new horizons to explore. Each challenge we presented became a gateway to greater understanding. The chamber resonated with the weight of revelation. The observers had always seen themselves as the guardians of cosmic order, the shepherds of developing species. But humanity had shown them something they had never considered, that progress itself could evolve. Perhaps, Nova suggested, their essence pulsing with what might have been excitement. This is the natural order we've been preserving all along. Not stasis, but transformation. Not isolation, but connection. Not limitation, but potential. The council chamber grew still as a new possibility emerged. What if humanity's seeming chaos was actually a higher form of order? What if their relentless questioning of limitations was the universe's way of evolving itself? We've been asking the wrong question, Cronus realized. We've been wondering whether to stop them or control them, but maybe we should be asking what they have to teach us. The projection showed a human child looking up at the stars, asking questions that challenged assumptions as old as time itself. It showed scientists collaborating across borders and species, sharing knowledge that transformed limitations into possibilities. It showed humanity's consciousness expanding not just outward to the stars, but inward to the very foundations of reality. They're not just changing themselves, Atropos observed. They're changing the nature of change itself. Every species they contact, every boundary they challenge, every question they ask, it all creates new possibilities for evolution. The Council reached a consensus, one that would forever alter the cosmic hierarchy. Instead of constraining humanity's growth, they would watch and learn. Instead of maintaining the old order, they would embrace the new transformation humanity had initiated. Let them reach for the stars, Iris declared. Let them question the impossible. Let them teach others to do the same. Perhaps this is what the universe has been waiting for, not guardians to preserve the old order, but pioneers to forge a new one. As the council session concluded, the observers realized they were witnessing not just the evolution of a species, but the evolution of evolution itself. Humanity's gift wasn't just their ability to advance, but their ability to inspire advancement in others. Their greatest power wasn't their technology or their knowledge, but their unshakable belief that limitations existed only to be transcended. The cosmic web shimmered with new possibilities as the observers released their final judgment. Humanity would not be constrained. Instead, they would be watched with newfound respect and curiosity. For in their relentless drive to understand, to improve, to transcend, they had shown the universe a truth that even its most ancient beings had forgotten. That the greatest force in existence wasn't power or knowledge, but potential itself. And as they observed a new generation of humans looking up at the stars with questions in their eyes and dreams in their hearts, the observers understood at last why they had feared humanity's potential. Not because of what humans might become, but because they had shown that becoming itself was limitless. The age of preservation was over. The age of potential had begun. And humanity, in their beautiful, chaotic, relentless way, would light the path forward, not just for themselves, but for all who dared to follow their example and ask, what if?